Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Mindset Explosion. We're on season 4, episode 6, and I've been joined tonight by the lovely Kirsty Kianifard. And we're going to talk about how to grow an online wellness business. Kirsty's one of my fellow masterminders program that we're on. So very excited to have you on, Kirsty. Thank you so much. And it just sounds, I know we had quite a brief chat before we came on air, but it sounds so similar. I'd like to find out a bit more about your podcast tonight and, you know, your background, how you got into, well-being and coaching, and starting your own podcast. Sounds like you've been so busy this year, which is fantastic. So Kirsty, tell us a little bit more about yourself and we can get going with tonight's episode.
Thanks so much, Matt. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. So yeah, it has been a really busy year, but I have been in the wellness space since forever. So it was literally, I stepped out of school and went into that space. I trained as a beauty and holistic therapist straight from school, against all of my teachers' advice. You know, they're like, don't you want to go and do A-levels? Don't you want to go and do something serious? And I'd sort of put all the applications in, but I was like, it's just not what I want to do. I've always been passionate about it. And I think, like we were chatting at the beginning, it's because, I had a difficult sort of teenage years, and it was really tools within the wellness space that helped me to sort of get on path. And so, yeah, I just always had that desire to learn and then to be able to share it with other people. So in brief, I'm sure we'll get it into more of it tonight. I have been a wellness practitioner for most of my life, and then sort of noticed through building a business, just a solo one-man band, and then opening my brick and mortar spa, which is now 10, I started to see a pattern that was reoccurring, which was that many wellness practitioners, whilst they were hugely passionate about what they did, they struggled to run their business, struggled to grow their business. And there was a lot of people struggling, and it just naturally, organically evolved to people asking me how to do it.
Oh, brilliant. So in terms of like how, if we can go back to a teenage a little bit, so in what aspect did that really help you? If you don't mind sharing, Kirsty.
Yeah, I'm adopted, and that's my big story really, is that I spent the first 6 months of my life in foster care, and I've got a very privileged adoption story, as in like my parents are amazing and they gave me all the support and a credible family, and I get on with them really, really well. But in my teenage years, I was just messed up. I didn't get it. I was angry. I hated life, like genuinely. I can still remember it. You know, I was really angry at everything and everyone. And I just had this turning point. This sounds so cliche, but I had this turning point where I went to a yoga class as a rebellious act. Like anything anyone asked me to do, I would just do the opposite. My parents weren't into that, and I was like, I know I'm going to go and do that. And that was like a long time ago. Now I'm 30, nearly 34, so almost 20 years ago. And so yoga was still sort of a bit hippie and all that, not sort of Instagram friendly. And yeah, and I went, and this guy was teaching the class, and he was talking about energy and chakras and all that sort of stuff. And it was like I'd come home, I found something, I understood it. It was like a click, and that sort of set me on a bit of a path. And I started sort of teaching myself a lot of this stuff, and it really helped me to know myself, because I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. And suddenly I found something that was mine, that I understood, that helped me understand myself better. And so, yeah, there was a massive transformation for me then.
Oh, brilliant. Harks is watching. Hi, Harks. Thanks for following us, guys. Yeah. And my mum's watching. She's put a big heart on. My mum's adopted.
Oh, wow. I love hearing like other adoptee stories.
Yeah, you'll have to connect. She's got a great story, actually. But yeah, I think, do you know what? I can think of worse things you could have done to rebel. So yoga was pretty.
I did those things as well. Yeah, no, that was a tame thing, you know.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about another time, Kirsty. Yeah. But I think I guess my mum said yay. So I guess, you know, when we find something like that and we find where it helps us, do you feel part then it was about you being able to give back with that? Did that suddenly become quite important to you as well?
Yeah, and it's a continuing thread with me. I like the underdogs. You know, I like the ones that no one's backing. I like the ones a bit different. I like the ones that, I just really sort of want to advocate for the people that maybe get a bit lost. And I suppose, that's always been my big thing. And now, actually, what really motivates me to do what I do now is that I got to a point when I was a wellness practitioner to know that, well, I can only help so many people. I'm only one person. And then I got to a point where I realized if I can give all these incredible wellness practitioners the tools to scale their business, then that means wellness gets out into the world even on a bigger scale, and I'm helping far more people. So it's my thing. I always say, like, the tools in the wellness space have the ability to change, but also save lives, you know, and I think I sort of count myself as one of those.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that so much. And I guess one of the things I noticed last year with teaching the fitness online as well, that with the lockdown, how much people needed the interaction, how much they needed to be, doing it became so much more, which probably me and you know about, because like you said, you've done yoga, you've been part of that environment, and with myself, I'm a part of it, and I see it. I see those transformations happening, probably exactly the same as yourself. But I think people really appreciated it a lot more last year. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing, because you're right, because you can teach so many, but then when you can give those skills to coaches and like myself, really, to like, listen, you can go out and do this, it becomes more empowering, I guess. So
yeah, like last night we had Clubhouse, we've been on that, and one of my clients who's a counselor, we've been speaking a lot about it. Obviously her work, she's like inundated with work right now, but she's really trying to break the mold of the stigma around counseling. And we've been talking about, how can a counselor show up on social media? How do you keep within the boundaries of safety, but also try and destigmatize it and make her, like, sort of stop dehumanizing it and make it, this is me, I'm the counselor, I'm not a scary person. And she ran her first Clubhouse room last night, and it was just like a mental health space on Clubhouse, and the sort of the boom of pride that comes from that, because she's finding her feet and really able to, in a space that is amazing, but also is going to cause additional mental health challenges for people. Lots of the FOMO, lots of feeling like I'm not good enough. It's important that those spaces also exist on places like Clubhouse or all sorts of social media. So yeah, you're exactly right. It's that ripple effect of giving people the tools to get their message out there, so that wellness starts to, I think, it's getting it into every single home. It's not just into an individual. It's like, you want it to be a way of life.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. So, so you kind of took it more. Were you online before last year? I know off yet. You said so. Did the pandemic force you to go online, or did it make you reassess things, or how did that work for you?
Yeah. So my brick and mortar business obviously has been affected massively, and I have a team of therapists there who, I like hands-on body work's very hard to replicate, and for some people that is their therapy. Going to a spa or a clinic or a salon or whatever, it's their place where no one can contact them. They're going to just shut themselves away for an hour, and it's really hard, however good the online space is, to replicate that. But I already had an online presence. I was already doing coaching remotely, but it definitely gave me a big push. I mean, if anything, I'm now running sort of one business as opposed to two, so I've got a lot more time to take things online. But in the first lockdown, I taught when I was a therapist, I taught a chakra course, a 7-week chakra course, and I decided, just knee-jerk reaction, how do I create something that will support the mental health of my spa clients as well as my online business clients? And I think within 2 weeks I put that online, and and we had a huge launch with that, massive success with that. So it's still relatively new, but I'm a massive tech nerd. Hold my hands up to that. Like, I love it. I geek out on it so much. So any sort of opportunity to take more stuff online, I'm there.
No, but I had a look at your website, and I found it really interesting. Obviously, your backstory, and it was something, you said you felt like a slave to your passion, and it was like the penny dropped. And I really love the way you put that. Would you mind sharing a bit more? Like, what was that moment, and explaining how did you feel like that slave, but obviously doing something that you love?
Yeah, well, it's that same trap that many wellness entrepreneurs get into, which is like you have these little, and you'll know this in your business, you have these like sort of micro goals. And one of the goals is, as a wellness practitioner, like I want to get fully booked. So let's say you're a body worker, you're a massage practitioner or something like that. So you have to be in person one-to-one. That's what I was doing. And you want to get fully booked. And I hit that, I was like, had a wait list, and I was like fully booked months and months in advance. And I loved it. But all of a sudden I was like, where do I go from here? You are stuck quite literally in a dark room for 8 hours solidly. I mean, I learned so much about human behavior, so much about the energy body, the physical body, people, skills that I use now online. But I couldn't scale that. I got to a point where, and I think many wellness practitioners, they have that little carrot in their mind. I just want to get fully booked without fully realizing what that does. Because as you know, I also have an autistic son. And as his needs were getting more severe, I had more appointments to get to. And if you're locked into, bookings for the next 3 months, it just felt quite suffocating. And so I did have a lot of questions around, like, do I really want to be doing this? But I think that story, which still motivates me now, that I believe in this work, I was like, I've got to figure out a different way, a way that I can do a one-to-many model rather than just a one-to-one. Yeah,
and I got to say, Kirsty, like, and people say this to me, oh, you appear to be busy, you appear to be on the go all the time. And it does. I get the impression that you've really done a great job of managing your life as a mum, as a wife, and as an entrepreneur. So, like, how do you balance that out?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I have 3 children. I have 2 girls and a boy, and they've got twins. So Sol with autism and his twin sister, they're 3, and my eldest is 8. And my husband, up until just before lockdown, he was an entrepreneur as well. He has since sold his business. So that's helped. That's really helped. I think it's really important that we don't, like, I have support. And I always try and tell my clients that, I don't want to gloss over it and be like, it's your fault you're not managing your time. At the end of the day, if I didn't have the support, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So that was my parents before lockdown. They're shielding at the moment. But also, yeah, my husband is around quite a lot. But I did a podcast episode on this because my son's needs are definitely, as he grows, are getting more difficult. He just needs so much stimulation. And I had one day, I'm quite open and honest on social media. I think it's part of my job to not just sort of show the show reel. And one day I hadn't slept. He'd scream for 8 hours all night. And I think I had 1 hour sleep. And then the day before, I'd shown this story of myself, like, on a beautiful beach, going, like, swimming in the sea in the middle of winter. And I was like, this is amazing. And I sort of wanted just to give the honest, sometimes days are like that, but sometimes days are just really, really shit. And and I got a huge influx of mums, special needs mums, who were trying to build business, and some of them were like, I can't do it, I don't think I can do it. And so I created this podcast episode, and my overarching message is that if I'm not getting my own needs met, I just can't meet the needs of Sol, let alone his brother, his 2 sisters. And part of that is fulfilling my purpose. And it's clear to me, my purpose came to me as soon as I came into this world, and I had to go through the turbulent times that I did. But I know that if I shelved it, I wouldn't be able to show up for him, because I would be unhappy in myself. So it's not always easy. I don't have the answers, but I do think that if you're passionate about something, it's really important that you prioritize it.
I can relate to that quite a lot, actually, Kirsty, and I do agree. It is, we've all got our own needs, right? And I do feel we all have a purpose. Sometimes it takes a while in life to find it. Took me till I was probably about 30 to find mine. But you're right. If I wasn't doing what I do, I don't think I could give to my children, and I couldn't give, in the way I want to other people, really. Yeah. So it is hard, and like you, I have my ups and my downs. And I guess I'm so glad you said about it, because as entrepreneurs, yes, we're talking about the good, but there are the times when it's like, oh, am I good enough today? I was going for it the other week. last week was great because we had the masterminds, and it was quite really. I'm like this afterwards, and then we did the clubhouse thing, but we go through the same things. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's quite important. But I get the sense. So your purpose seems to be really about giving back in some sense. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that I believe someone asked me on a podcast once, like, if you could change anything in the world, what would it be? And it's a hard question, but a big thing for me is that I just wish everyone would accept each other more, you know, for all of the nuances that are around. There's so much black and white in the world. And again, I think that when the tools of the wellness space help us to understand ourselves better, and often when we are not kind or judgmental, we're just projecting our own stuff that we haven't worked on. And, you know, with a child with additional needs, as someone myself who struggled to grow up in a world that I was not the norm, that's a big thing for me, is to try and help us all be a little kinder. So I think that's just it's about giving back, but it's also about feeling like you're contributing to the world that your kids are growing up in. And you know, sometimes you feel quite powerless to do much about the big challenges in life, but I think business is a huge way that you can add some contribution.
Yeah, and you're doing that in a big way, and I think your business is about giving back, and you know, it seems like that's the biggie with what you're doing, is, you know, sharing that purpose and allowing other people to find their purpose. I think it's an amazing thing. It really is. And and you know yourself, when you're at that point where it's like, what am I doing? So I did engineering for ages, and I just hated it.
Wow.
Yeah, I really hated it. It just, and I know if I stayed there, I of course I would be a different person. And getting into martial arts, instructing, and my mindset is allowed me to grow. And do you find yourself, like, as you advance with what you're doing, do you find yourself quite hungry to expand your own growth as well?
Yeah. So my mantra with my clients is that business is personal growth on steroids. So I think one of the big reasons that I stepped into entrepreneurship is because it like supercharges your personal growth journey. You just can't do one without the other. I know our mentor Rob, like, he talks a lot about rejection. That's tapped into my story a lot more. Every time you scale, you know, and I've been doing that a lot. I serve something like 5 times the amount of clients that I served this time last year. And with I believe in equal opposite. So like with every sort of up level comes the equal opposite of having to accept like more rejection, more no's, more like criticism. You know, social media is a big place for that. And so I love it. I think potentially quite addicted to it. I'm not sure if I should admit that, but yeah, I think I love learning about myself, the good and the bad, and feeling into that stretch, you know.
And do you find being on this mastermind that we're on, because I love it, because I feel like I'm it's like starting school again, and I'm looking at all the big kids are in there. So but I'm loving that energy, and it's feeding onto me, and hopefully feeding it back out as well. And I got that from you when we did the clubhouse. The few of us did the clubhouse, like the energy was coming in, harks yourself. I was like, oh my God, give me some of that energy. Thank you. And okay, let's put it back out. And I feel, you know, you feed off that as you get out into business, isn't it?
I agree. And actually, I think finding your tribe, your community, like being around other entrepreneurs, like a lot of people in my industry, and I did it for a while, stay within. So the wellness space and the coaching industry, they tend to like come together. And I was always in masterminds with other coaches, other wellness practitioners. And I'd followed Rob for a long time. And I was like, do you know, I want to almost throw myself into the lion's den. Like, I just want to be around people that do totally different things to me, because we have that, like, we all do so many different things, yet we have that same sort of quest for personal growth, like business growth. And you can learn so much from that space. So I think it's really good to be around people that stretch you and challenge you.
No, definitely. I was the same. I was in a great mastermind. It was all about martial arts business, and I learned so much. I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. But the same, I want I want to be around different business owners, and because that was initially property based, probably the same. They're all drawing in. So yeah, I've got loads out of since I kind of come onto that. It was a different mastermind last year, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It really tests you a little bit more, doesn't it? A bit uncomfortable, but nice.
Yeah. I think that's it. Like, you've got to get really familiar and comfortable with the uncomfortable, and I think that's the key for me. It's like almost like when I've got a bit too comfy, things have got a little bit too easy, I'm like, okay, we need to change this up a bit.
No, brilliant. So I guess now you're able to coach people within the wellbeing industry all around the world.
Yeah, we have my membership. So this year, my big focus is my membership. Last year was like all about expansion and growth, and I had lots of stuff going on. And this year, I'm sold out of my one-to-ones quite consistently, so that's good. So I'm just focusing my membership, which is actually a low cost but super high value container, because again, within the wellness industry, you tend to find people that are struggling to get to a point where they can really like make the big investments. And I really want to make the tools of building business accessible, because I just didn't have that when I was younger. And so, yeah, it's a big passion of mine. Like, we just this weekend, we've just gone over about 75 members, and wow. It's only been open for a few months, and it's really an exciting space. And so this last year was about scale. This year is about like doubling down on what I've got and really starting to create big impact, big ripples. So we've got a client in Australia, which is really exciting. Bit difficult with time difference, but yeah, really exciting. Someone in France, like all over the place. And that's amazing, because that's the ripple effect, isn't it? Like, when we're talking about wellness, mental health, getting these tools out there, we want them to be everywhere, Yeah.
So, no, definitely. Yeah, no, brilliant. And because I said to you about Charlie, so I did message him this morning. He really wants to get into some kind of coaching, so I said for him to connect with you at some point. But I just feel that the online you can real push it out of online. I was going to ask you another question. It's totally gone out my head because you just wowed me with the Australia thing.
Let's just talk about Charlie. Charlie's just amazing. I'm so grateful that you sent me that video. I've just sent it to my husband as well. Brilliant interview that you did.
Oh, thank you. I'll pass on. I did another one. He's done one more recently, so an update. Yeah, I'll send it over. So in terms of what's your big goal now going forward? And before you answer that, actually, anyone that is interested in getting coached by Kirsty, obviously I've only met you on the mastermind the other day. I've seen your Instagram is amazing. So and being in that clubhouse, I feel that anyone that is with you is going to get so much attention, so much energy, and really great guidance. That's the vibe I've got in the short time we've been speaking, and even from the other day. So yes, if you are in the wellness space or coaching, definitely I've dropped your link in the comments in the copy. So get in contact with Kirsty. But I can't remember the question. I'm sure it's on the tip of your tongue now.
just pad it out. But yeah, come over. Yeah. My membership closes tonight, though, guys. If anyone is listening and wants to join, it closes tonight. But wow. But yeah, there's some other ways. Always get in touch. I go against quite a lot of the sort of online guru stuff. I'm very about the personal connection. So yeah, once you're in my team, you get a lot of undivided attention.
Oh, brilliant. Charlie's watching.
Oh, Charlie, hi.
There you go. Hi, Matt and Kirsty. I'm watching, really liking the interview, and love to have a chat with you, Kirsty. So there you go.
Yes.
Thumbs up. There we go. So also, you're a podcaster as well.
I am.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your podcast.
I love podcasting. I think that's my favorite platform. I find out about you. I guess I don't stream mine, so I'm just in the studio when I'm doing it. But it feels like a more intimate sort of space. I'm quite open on social media, but and I also get to deep dive. I teach on my podcast, so if it's a solo episode, I'm really giving how to step by steps. How to build your mailing list, how to grow your social media, whatever it is. And then on the flip side, when I have interviews, I was saying to you at the beginning, I like to bring in wellness practitioners I like to find those gritty stories. They've had some sort of turbulence in their life somewhere. They've sort of found some practice that's really helped them to step into it. And actually, Charlie was talking a lot about mindset, things that they've pulled on, and then they've become so passionate about it that they want to then go out and share it with the world. So I get them on, and then I get them to tell us their story, but then also tell us what they've done, because there's so many different ways to build a business. It's not prescriptive. It needs to be super individual to you. So I try and get on people that are, different backgrounds, different experiences, different business models. It's a real wealth of information for my listeners, but I love it.
I love it too. I initially started this was as a Facebook live show. And then I just upload it to the podcast. But yeah, do you know what? That's what I miss, is actually sat next to someone. That is the one sort of thing. Now, I don't know if you remember at the end of our Clubhouse session, Julie Kent, MBE, came on to speak.
I do, yes.
So she said she loved to come on the podcast.
Well, if I could show you my notebook, Julie, your name is already in it from
come on.
So I was going to reach out to you next week anyway, so I'd love to get you on, Julie. Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Brilliant. So she's not hot and wellness, no, but I think you are, Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she is. Yeah, she'd be a great guest for you. And I'll let her tell you her story, because it's a really great story and what she,
I think that brings up quite a good point, is that, and maybe it's a branding issue for me, but I think what wellness, like that umbrella brand, and I've had a lot of people, I had someone tell me, a candle maker, she sent me these beautiful candles and she said, but I'm not really in wellness though. And I was like, yes, you are. It's like, how do you think that makes someone feel when they light a candle and they have all those aromas in their room? That's the key part of wellness, So it's interesting. A lot of people bow out of the wellness industry and they think, oh, no, that's not my space. But even, what you do obviously with the mindset, but also with the martial arts, I would consider that a wellness practice. I would consider that something that, is work. For me, it's anything that works on your internal landscape. Anything that makes you feel better, makes you show up as a brighter, bigger human in the rest of your life, Yeah,
I totally agree with that. In fact, one of my lives I used to collaborate with was Wellbeing Wednesday. So well-being mindset. You're absolutely right. It's the same things. And sometimes people say that, oh, but I don't do mindset. But you're running your own business. You've had to have some sort of mindset to start that and overcome can I do it? Will I be able to do it? What do I do here? Because we know what we know. And I think that's the key of having a coach like yourself, Kirsty, is that, I might know, let's say I start out, I can know martial arts. Hopefully I can teach it. But the other bits, how did I start that business? It was just hard. I don't know if I said, for me, I used to go out in the street and bow to people, stick my hand out to get their attention, just to get their name and number.
See, this is the thing. So I say this to my clients, the younger ones. I'm like, you don't know how good you've got it. I used to walk up and down the street. I remember the flyer, with a green flyer with a really shit logo, and post it through doors. I had no idea if someone in that building had any interest. But that flyer would have cost me money, right? But now we've got things like Facebook ads where you can target strategically, and stuff you were doing. Now people be like, oh, no. Having to show up on social media once a day feels like a massive drag, yet you can do it from your bed, But back in the day, marketing was just you were just out on foot, peddling the streets, chatting to people, it was hard work.
It was. And I guess Charlie says we've been spoiled by tech. I wouldn't say spoiled, would you, Kirsty? But thank you, Charlie. Yeah, we have been spoiled, I suppose. Yeah. It's
again equal opposites, though, isn't it? There's the luxury of being able to run your business from bed, but also this horrible sort of, getting closed in by not talking to real human beings.
Yeah, that is the hard part. I guess. Have you got some good advice? Because I know there's a few people watching that are business owners, maybe in a different sector, but I know some of them been struggling with mental health at the moment, and where their business has changed. But it's a hard one. I put you right.
Trying to come in now. My daughter's trying to come in now. I'm like, no.
Hello.
I have taken up winter sea swimming. That has been my absolute savior through lockdown, which I know sounds mad, and everyone says to me I couldn't do it. I'm the sort of person that would have gone in the sea in a wetsuit in the middle of summer. Like, I am not a sort of fair weather person, but it's for my mental health. It's been massive, you know, having kids at home, homeschooling, running businesses, just not having anywhere to go. Like, I find that really hard. You know, I'd be someone that likes to go to theatre, likes a different thing, just to get different sources of inspiration. So for me, it's about testing your resilience outside of business. So it's almost like the higher the pressure becomes inside, the more I've got to challenge myself physically. So that for me was, is the sea swimming. So I think find a new challenge that isn't connected to your business.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That's what I need to do, because all my fitness is based around my business.
Yeah.
So I used to do yoga on the Sundays before the pandemic. So I started doing this on the Sunday instead, as it was my calm down time. But for me, I like to get out and be in a class for doing it, and it does sort your head out. Kirsty, is absolute fantastic talking to you. I hope to get you on again in the future, because I feel like you've got so much, so much to give. Have you got any workshops or anything in particular that's coming up you want to, share with the viewers?
Best place is to come and find me on Instagram. I just love having genuine connections. So I'm spend probably too much time in my DMs on Instagram. So come send me a message. Just have a chat. If you want some sort of business building tips, particularly about taking your business online, the podcast is great. So the Wellness Entrepreneur podcast, there's loads of stuff that you could jump into and literally move your business forward after a 45-minute episode. I'm fully booked with my one-to-ones. Collective, which is my membership, is closing tonight, but it's always worth getting on a wait list on my mailing list, and when new stuff comes up, I will let you know. By the way, Matt, just because I thought you might be proud of me, I used to do Aikido.
Oh, get in. Well done. Is that part of the rebellious phase, or?
I need to get that in there. No, it wasn't. It was just part of, I'd always wanted to give martial arts a try. And I knew someone that ran a session down my road at a time. I did it for about a year and a half. I really enjoyed it.
No, brilliant. Well, listen, when you're in Cheltenham next, you will have to come and try out our fitness kickboxing as well. You'll love that.
Oh, that sounds fun.
We got some comments, so I will share these before you go. So Hark's got to go. We said, great interview. Thank you, Harks.
Thanks, Harks.
And what we got? That's from my mum. She loves your hair.
Thanks. It's my lockdown crisis, like midlife crisis. I just was like, I need to do something fun.
I think it makes you stand out for all the right reasons.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew and Charlie. Great interview, guys. Really enjoyed hearing Kirsty's story. Would love to come on your podcast at some point, share my experience with autism, trying to express the good autism can do. I will send that interview over to you, the other one I did. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kirsty. I'll speak to you just in a sec off. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget, drop in some comments. Share the love. Hashtag replay if you're catching it on replay. And I will see you again for Mindset Explosion next Sunday, same time. Peace and love. Thank you.
Bye.